What if Jon Snow learned the truth of his birth and chose to claim his Targaryen right? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. The wind tears across the wall, a howling animal that claws at Jon Snow's black cloak. Below, the haunted forest stretches into darkness, and Ghost sits beside him, red eyes fixed on the tree line. Jon's breath fogs the air. In his pocket, a letter burns hotter than any fire he's ever stood beside. He took his vows 3 days ago. He's a brother of the Night's Watch now, sworn to hold no lands, father no children, wear no crowns. The words felt right when he spoke them before the heart tree. He's a bastard, after all. This is the highest he can rise. But the letter changes everything. It arrived by Raven, sealed with the mark of the man he's called father his whole life. Jon has read it 12 times, and each time it says the same impossible thing.
You are not my son. You are my nephew. Your mother was Lyanna Stark, my beloved sister. Your father was Rhaegar Targaryen, Prince of Dragonstone. I claimed you as my bastard to save your life from Robert's hatred. You have a choice now that I never gave you. Remain Jon Snow, brother of the Night's Watch, or become who you were born to be. Aegon Targaryen, 6th of his name, the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Jon doesn't know whether to scream or weep. A bastard his entire life, and now a prince. Samwell Tarly finds him still standing there hours later, his round face flushed from the cold. He asks what's wrong. Jon hands him the letter without a word. Sam's eyes go wide as he reads. Jon, this is the truth, isn't it? Lord Stark wouldn't lie. Not about this. I took vows, Sam. I swore an oath before the old gods. You're also a king, the rightful one.
Jon shakes his head, but the words have already taken root. He thinks of Joffrey on the throne, of the Lannisters tearing the realm apart, of Ned Stark somewhere south in a cell for a crime he never committed. Sam says it plainly, the way only Sam can. Maybe the realm needs a dragon. I don't have an army. I don't have dragons. I'm just one man. You're a Targaryen, and you're a Stark. That's more than most men have. That night, Jon Snow makes his choice. He slips away before dawn, taking Ghost, his sword, and nothing else. He leaves a letter for the Lord Commander, and he leaves no way back to the life he thought he'd have. 300 leagues south, in the black cells beneath the Red Keep, Eddard Stark waits in the dark for a blade he knows is coming. His leg throbs where it was broken. His mind keeps circling back to the letter he sent north, wondering if he did right by the boy, or simply handed him a war he cannot win. The door creaks. A hooded figure slips inside, and when the hood falls back, Ned sees Varys. What do you want, Spider? To offer you a chance, my lord. Confess to treason, and Cersei will let you take the black. Your daughters will be spared. And if I refuse, then Sansa suffers for it. Arya is already lost somewhere in this city, hunted. Ned closes his eyes. He thinks of his girls, caught in this nightmare because of decisions he made. He thinks of the letter already flying north on raven wings. I sent word to Jon, told him the truth. Varys tilts his head, genuinely surprised. You told the boy? He deserved the choice I never gave him. And if he claims it, then he'll need allies, someone who knows the game. Varys smiles, and for once it looks almost real. Fortunate, then, that I am very good at games. Confess, live, trust that the wheels are already turning.
Ned agrees, on one condition. Varys must protect his daughters. The eunuch swears it, and Eddard Stark makes his choice, just as Jon Snow already made his 3 days north. But promises made in dungeons rarely survive the light. Ned kneels before the great sept of Baelor, forced to confess to treason he never committed, and for one breath it looks like mercy will win. Then Joffrey rises, his young face twisted into something cruel far beyond his years. "So long as I am your king, treason shall never go unpunished. Sir Ilyn, carry out the sentence." Cersei screams for him to stop. The boy king does not listen. The sentence is carried out, and the crowd roars, and word of Eddard Stark's death spreads across the 7 kingdoms like wildfire on dry grass. In Winterfell, Bran weeps. In the Riverlands, Robb Stark vows vengeance loud enough to shake the rafters. And in the Wolfswood, riding hard for the neck, Jon Snow hears it. From a passing trader, who mentions it as casually as the weather. Aye, they took his head right there before the sept. One less Stark to worry about. Jon doesn't remember drawing his sword. He doesn't remember the red haze that drops over his vision. It's Ghost's howl that pulls him back, the direwolf blocking his path, the trader long gone. Jon falls to his knees in the dirt and weeps until there's nothing left in him. Then he stands, and his face has gone hard as winter stone. Ned Stark is dead, and Jon Snow will not waste the choice he was given. He turns south for the neck, chasing the one man alive who can prove his birth beyond a single letter. Howland Reed, the Cranagman who stood at the Tower of Joy the night Jon was born, who watched Lyanna Stark die in Ned's arms. Greywater Watch isn't on any map. It moves through the swamps like a rumour, and finding it should be impossible. But Ghost leads Jon through the reeds and the mist with an uncanny certainty, and on the 10th day, the castle rises out of the fog like something dreamed rather than built. Reed is waiting on the dock, smaller than Jon expected, sharp-eyed, unarmed. Jon Snow, or should I say, Aegon Targaryen. You know, I was there, at the Tower of Joy. I watched your mother die, and I watched Ned Stark swear to protect you with his life. 17 years I've kept that secret. Then confirm it. Tell the realm who I am. Reed studies him a long moment. You want to know how to be a king. I want to know how to stop the Lannisters. The realm will not accept you easily. You're a Targaryen, and Robert Baratheon built his throne on Targaryen corpses. You left the Night's Watch, breaking sacred vows. Some will call you a deserter before they call you a king. Then I'll prove them wrong. Reed doesn't just confirm the truth. He hands Jon proof that will matter more than any letter. He pulls a bundle from an old chest and unwraps it carefully, revealing a silver harp, its strings gleaming, carved with dragons and wolves woven together. This was Rhaegar's. He left it here before he rode to the Trident. Lyanna kept it at her side until the end. Anyone who remembers the Dragon Prince will know this the moment they see it. Jon takes the harp, and it feels lighter than it should, and heavier than anything he's ever carried. Your road will be hard, Jon, but if you stay true to who you are, if you remember that a king serves his people, you have a chance. A slim one, but a chance. He rides south with proof now, not just words. And on the 5th day past the neck, he gets his first real taste of what he's riding into. Smoke rises from a village ahead, black and thick against the sky. Jon spurs his horse forward, Ghost tearing ahead through the grass. And what he finds turns his stomach. Cottages burned to their bones, bodies in the dirt, men and women who did nothing but live near a Stark banner. A girl no older than 10 hides behind a rain barrel, soot streaked across her face. "Lannister soldiers," she says. "They said the village helped the traitor Stark. They said the village had to pay."
Jon finds the soldiers an hour later, camped by a river, drinking, while 5 bound villagers kneel in the dirt awaiting a hanging. Jon doesn't hesitate. He and Ghost tear through the camp like a storm, and when it's over, the villagers stare at him, disbelieving, asking who he is. The words come out of him before he can stop them. "I'm Jon Snow." Or I was. Now I'm Aegon Targaryen, and I'm going to take back the Iron Throne. Word of the burning villages and of the stranger who avenges them spreads faster than any rider can carry it. Farmers send their sons. A handful of disillusioned knights offer their swords. Jon sends letters, too, carefully worded, sealed with the Targaryen sigil, to Dorne, to the Vale, to the Stormlands, promising justice and a return to the old ways. It isn't an army yet, but it's a beginning. And the first true answer comes from the last place anyone expected. Oberyn Martell arrives at Jon's camp with a small retinue of Dornish spears, a spear of his own never far from his hand. "So, you are the dragon come again." "I am." "You don't look much like a Targaryen. Where's the silver hair, the purple eyes?" "I take after my mother, Lyanna Stark. A woman of great beauty and great tragedy. My sister was another such woman. Rhaegar promised her the world, then left her to die." Jon's jaw tightens. "I know what happened to Elia and her children. I swear to you I'll see justice done." "What kind of justice?" "The kind that ends with Gregor Clegane and Tywin Lannister answering for what they did." Oberyn's smile turns razor sharp. "Then we have an accord, young dragon. Dorne will support you. But know this, if you prove to be another mad Targaryen, I will stop you myself." With Dorne behind him, Jon's claim stops sounding like the ravings of a broken bastard and starts sounding like a wall the realm can't ignore. And in Riverrun, the news finally reaches the one man who has to decide whether Jon is still his brother or his enemy. A rider bursts into the great hall, mud-streaked and gasping. "Jon Snow has left the wall, my lord. He's calling himself a Targaryen." The hall erupts. Robb's hand goes white around his sword hilt. "That's impossible. Jon is Ned Stark's bastard." "Not according to the letter Lord Eddard sent him, my lord. Some are already riding to join him." Catelyn feels the floor shift beneath her. She remembers Ned's silence whenever she asked about the boy's mother. She remembers how far he went to protect Jon, even at the cost of their marriage's peace. Robb sends riders out to find him, to bring him in, to make him understand. When the two finally meet outside a nameless village near the twins, there is no warmth left between them, only truth sitting cold in the space where trust used to be. "Is it true? Are you really a Targaryen?" "I am. Ned told me before he died." "Then fight with me, like we always did. We can take down the Lannisters together." "And then who sits the throne? You want to be king in the north. I want the 7 kingdoms. We can't both have what we want, Robb." "So you're choosing the throne over our family?" "I'm choosing the realm. The Lannisters are destroying it, and I'm the only one with the right to stop them." Robb's face twists with something between grief and fury. "Then we're enemies." He turns and rides away, and for a long, terrible stretch of days, it looks as though Stark blood will spill Stark blood on some nameless field. The two armies meet at the crossroads, banners raised, and the world holds its breath. The battle never comes. Before the first arrow flies, a horn sounds, and riders appear from the north under black and green banners. At their head rides Catelyn Stark, and she rides straight between the two armies, her voice cracking like a whip. "Enough! I will not see my sons turn against each other. You are brothers, and you will act like it. The Lannisters are the enemy, not each other. If you fight, you will both lose, and the realm will burn." Robb and Jon dismount. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then Robb extends his hand, and Jon takes it, and the two armies roar, not in anger this time, but in relief. The wolf and the dragon, at peace. For now.
Together, their combined forces are more than the Lannisters can answer. Tywin tries to rally his men, but even he cannot hold against the tide. King's Landing falls in 3 days. Jon rides through the gates on a white horse, Ghost padding beside him, and the small folk line the streets in silence, watching the dragon return. In the Red Keep, Cersei and Joffrey are captured. The boy king screams and begs, but Jon shows him no mercy he did not show Ned Stark. Joffrey is tried and sentenced before the same sept where his victims died. Cersei is sent to the wall, her head shaved, her pride shattered. Jon sits the Iron Throne, the ancient blades pressing through the cushions beneath him like accusations. Lords of the Seven Kingdoms kneel and swear him fealty. But even as they do, Jon feels no triumph, only weight. Tyrion Lannister, of all people, proves the most useful man left standing in the ruined capital, and Jon names him Hand, on trial. No illusions on either side about what that trust is worth. Varys takes up whispers, Oberyn speaks for Dorne, and the slow, unglamorous work of rebuilding begins.
Then, one night, Tyrion brings grim news to the small council. "Your Grace, there are reports from Essos. Daenerys Targaryen has hatched dragons, 3 of them, and she's conquering cities across Slaver's Bay." Jon's blood runs cold. She's coming. It would appear so, and she'll want the throne you're sitting on. Across the narrow sea, in the ruins of Astapor, Daenerys Targaryen watches the old masters fall from power in the Plaza of Punishment, her unsullied standing in perfect ranks around her. Above, 3 dragons circle, Drogon the largest, his wings casting shadows over the freed city. She has lost her brother, her husband, her unborn son. She has nothing left but this, and it is enough. "Reports from Westeros, Your Grace," Ser Jorah says carefully. "A new king sits the Iron Throne. A Targaryen." Daenerys' eyes go cold. Impossible. Rhaegar's children are dead. Perhaps not all of them. They say Eddard Stark hid the boy as his bastard. If it's true, his claim comes before yours. He's the male heir.
"The throne is mine. I am the last Targaryen. I have bled for it. I will not let some boy take it from me." Jon sends Tyrion across the sea to negotiate, half expecting it to fail, and it does. Daenerys receives him in the Great Pyramid of Meereen, her violet eyes burning with a decade of survival behind them. "So it's true. There is another Targaryen claiming my throne. With respect, Your Grace, it's not your throne anymore. He sat one that was empty. The Lannisters had destroyed the realm, and someone had to stop them. And now he sends a Lannister to speak for him. How convenient. Tell your king I will sail for Westeros, and when I arrive, he will bend the knee, or he will face the cost of defiance." The dragons arrive with the dawn, 3 dark shapes blotting out the rising sun over King's Landing. Bells ring, not in celebration, but in warning.
Jon stands on the battlements of the Red Keep and watches them descend. Drogon the size of a small ship, his roar shaking the ancient stones. Jon has prepared for this. Qyburn, the disgraced maester who once served Cersei, has spent weeks building scorpions, giant crossbows meant to pierce dragonhide, and dozens of them now line the walls. Jon offers one last chance at peace, a meeting on neutral ground at the Blackwater Rush. Daenerys comes armored and cold,
and the two Targaryens meet for the first time. So, you are the boy who stole my throne. I claimed it. There's a difference. I'm told I take after my mother, Lyanna Stark. You look like a Stark. I see nothing of Rhaegar in you. I'm his true-born son, the heir to the Iron Throne. Daenerys laughs, bitter and sharp. I am the one who has fought for the Targaryen name, who has freed cities and broken chains. What have you done? I've united the Seven Kingdoms, or I'm trying to. The realm was tearing itself apart, and I stopped it. By sitting on my throne. The realm couldn't wait. People were dying. I did what I had to do. Family didn't save my father from Robert's hammer. It won't save you from me. Then we're at war, Jon says quietly.
Daenerys turns without another word, and at dawn, her dragons attack. Drogon's fire melts stone like wax, and for one terrible moment, it looks like King's Landing will burn just as Aerys once wanted it to. Then the scorpions fire. One bolt catches Rhaegal's wing and sends him spiraling into the river. Another wounds Drogon's shoulder, and Daenerys, furious and shaken, pulls her dragons back. She has never lost ground to mortal men before. It's Tyrion, sent to her camp once more, who finally talks her down from a second attack. If you reduce this city to ash, Your Grace, there will be nothing left to rule. You could be different, the queen who chose peace over conquest. Daenerys agrees to one final meeting, this time in the Dragon Pit, the ancient ruin where her family once kept their dragons chained.
Jon offers her something no Targaryen before him ever offered a rival. We rule together, as equals. Your voice carries the same weight as mine, always. Daenerys studies him a long moment, pride warring with the exhaustion of years spent fighting alone. Then, we marry. We unite our claims and become the last Targaryens, together. Jon agrees, on one condition of his own. No king and consort, only king and queen, side by side. They clasp hands as allies for the first time, and weeks later, the realm gets its wedding at the Great Sept of Baelor, black and red beside white and silver, the wolf and the dragon crowned as one. It is not a marriage built on love, but in a realm that spent years tearing itself apart, it may be enough to hold together what's left.
The co-rule is not easy. Daenerys wants to free every slave in Westeros overnight. Jon warns her that pushing too hard will turn the lords against them both. We have to move slowly. Why not move quickly? I did it in Essos. Essos is not Westeros. The lords here have power. If we push too hard, they'll rebel. Tyrion finds the middle ground, as he usually does, and both of them take it. It's a small victory, but it's progress, and slowly the two of them learn to trust where neither wanted to. Then, in the dead of night, a raven arrives that changes everything. The wall has fallen. The Night King's army broke through the ruins of Castle Black like a tide of frozen death. The Night's Watch fought and were overwhelmed, and the survivors flee south, carrying one message. The dead are marching. Jon reads it by candlelight, his hands trembling, and wakes Daenerys in the middle of the night. The wall has fallen. The dead are marching south. How many? Thousands. We need to mobilize the realm. Now. Then we will. Together.
The call goes out across the realm. Lords from every corner of Westeros answer, setting aside years of grievance. The North, the Riverlands, the Vale, Dorne, the Reach. Even Stannis Baratheon, brooding on Dragonstone, sends men north, understanding that a throne means nothing if there's no realm left to rule. Jon and Daenerys lead the march, Unsullied and Dothraki and Northmen together, dragons soaring overhead. They make camp at Winterfell, and Sansa finds Jon in the courtyard,
older now, harder, her eyes carrying the wisdom of everything King's Landing put her through. Is it true? You married her? For the realm. I hope you know what you're doing. So do I, Jon says, and means it.
The dead arrive 3 days later, an army stretching from horizon to horizon, whites shambling forward with eyes glowing an unnatural blue, white walkers gliding behind them with ice swords gleaming. At their head rides the Night King himself, mounted on a skeletal horse, eyes like frozen stars. The dragons take to the sky first. Drogon and Viserion dive, fire scattering the dead by the hundreds, and the living surge forward to meet the army with a sound like the end of the world. Jon fights on the front line, Longclaw cutting through whites, Ghost tearing through the frozen ranks beside him. Then the Night King raises his hand, and the temperature drops until the air itself seems to freeze. Ice spears fly from the darkness, and one strikes Viserion with terrible force. The dragon shrieks and falls, crashing into the battlefield, and Daenerys cries out in pure anguish. The Night King walks to the fallen dragon and touches it with one pale hand. Viserion's eyes open, glowing blue. The dead have a dragon now, and when it opens its jaws, the fire that pours out isn't fire at all. It's a cold, spectral flame that turns men to ice where they stand. "Fall back! Get inside the walls!" The living retreat in chaos, the gates of Winterfell groaning open to swallow them, the dead snapping at their heels. Jon is among the last through, battered and exhausted, and as the gates slam shut, he locks eyes with the Night King across the divide. Something passes between them. Recognition. Fate. Inside, Daenerys stands broken in the courtyard, staring up at the twisted, frozen shape of her child circling overhead. I raised him from an egg, and now he's a weapon pointed at everyone I love. We'll end this together. The war council that follows is grim. Roose Bolton wants to retreat south and abandon the north to the dead. Jon refuses. It's Jon himself who proposes the only plan with any hope in it. The Night King wants me. I've seen it in his eyes. If I offer myself as bait, he'll come alone, away from his army. Then Daenerys and Drogon finish it from above.
Absolutely not. It's our best chance. If I fail, you run. You save who you can. The room falls silent. No one has a better plan. That night, in the Godswood, beneath the old god's watching face, Daenerys finds Jon standing alone with Ghost at his feet. You shouldn't be out here alone. I needed to think. My whole life I've been running from who I am. Bastard. Targaryen. King. I never wanted any of it. And now? Now I don't have a choice. If I have to fall to save the living, then so be it. You're not going to die. I won't let you. You can't promise that. Watch me. For a moment, they stand together in silence, two Targaryens bound by duty rather than blood alone. Then Daenerys leans in and kisses him, not with passion, but with something steadier, understanding. The beginning, maybe, of something that isn't just politics.
At dawn, Jon rides out alone, Ghost running at his side, Longclaw in his hand. Across the field, thousands of blue eyes fix on the lone rider, and the Night King steps forward to meet him. You want me. Here I am. Let's end this. The Night King does not speak. He never does. He simply raises his icy sword, and the frozen ranks begin to move. Jon holds his ground with everything he has left. Ghost stays beside him. The cold presses closer, the line around him tightening, and for one heartbeat, it looks like the plan has failed. Then the sky erupts in fire. Drogon descends like a falling star, Daenerys on his back, sending a wall of flame between Jon and the White Walkers. The Night King looks up, and for the first time, something like fury crosses his ancient, empty face.
He raises his hand, and Viserion answers, diving out of the clouds to meet Drogon head-on. Blue fire meets red, ice against flame. The sky itself becomes a second battlefield. Jon uses the chaos to charge the Night King directly. Their blades lock, frost spreading from the point of contact, and Jon gasps out the only question that's mattered to him this whole war. Why? Why do you want to destroy the living? The Night King doesn't answer. He simply stares at Jon with eyes that hold no hatred at all, only an endless, yawning emptiness. He isn't cruel. He isn't evil. He is winter itself, and winter doesn't negotiate. Above, Drogon is losing. Viserion overwhelms him in the air, and Daenerys feels her dragon faltering beneath her. She looks down, sees Jon wounded, sees the fight slipping away, and makes a choice with no room left for hesitation. She dives.
Drogon breaks free of Viserion's grip and plummets toward the ground, gaining speed, and at the last possible second, Daenerys leaps clear, rolling across the frozen earth as her dragon crashes into the Night King like a battering ram. The ancient king is thrown flat, his ice sword knocked from his hand, Drogon's jaws opening above him with fire building in his throat. Now! Jon charges, Longclaw raised high, and lands the final blow against the Night King. There is no sound at first. Then cracks spread across the pale ice armor, light pouring through the fissures, and with a sound like breaking glass, the Night King shatters into nothing. Across the battlefield, every white collapses at once. Every White Walker explodes into shards of ice. Above, Viserion lets out one final mournful cry, his eyes dimming, before he falls from the sky forever.
Silence falls over Winterfell, deeper than any silence the realm has known in 1,000 years. Jon drops to his knees, shaking, and Daenerys runs to him, pulling him into her arms, as together they watch the last of the dead crumble into the snow. It's over. We won. The realm celebrates, but quietly. Too much has been lost for anything louder. In the weeks that follow, Jon and Daenerys return to King's Landing and begin the long, unglamorous work of rebuilding what 4 kings and a war of the dead nearly destroyed. They still argue. They still clash over policy and pride. But slowly, the respect between them deepens into something that looks less like a political arrangement and more like the beginning of a partnership neither of them planned for. One night, on the balcony of the Red Keep, looking out over a city finally quiet, Daenerys leans her head against Jon's shoulder. Do you think we'll ever have real peace? I don't know. But I think we have a chance. A real one. Then that's enough. Above them, through the high windows of the throne room they've both learned to hate and need in equal measure, Drogon's shadow passes over the city, wings beating slow against the dark. Ghost lies at the base of the Iron Throne, red eyes watching the court that has finally, after so much fire and so much blood, begun to hold still. The Age of Dragons has returned to Westeros, and this time, the boy who was once told he could never be more than a bastard in the corner is the reason it might actually last. That's our theory. Westeros is a land filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey across the 7 kingdoms and beyond, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.